Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagora TV, and in this video I'm giving you my Bethesda E3 2018 predictions. So as we all know, on Saturday the 9th, or very early Sunday morning here, England, that we have the Bethesda E3 press conference. I think it's 2:30 in the morning for Sunday morning for the Bethesda E3 press conference on the other side of the pond from America. On the West Coast, I think it's 6:30 PM, which is 8 hours behind. So that would make sense. It's 6:30 PM over in America, and yeah, the Bethesda E3 press conference earlier than last year. Last year it was extremely late when I had to stay up for, but anyway. I've made a video before about the chances of different things coming up, but there's been more news since then and more teasers and more reveals and stuff about different games since then. So I want to give my final predictions, lay out what's kind of obvious, what we can expect to see there, and give my kind of minor predictions for some of the other games in there as well. So let's go straight into it. I want to start off with the obvious, and the first one to start off with is Rage 2. And Rage 2, we got the trailer, God, it was about a month ago now, and they had that supposed Walmart leak where it did look very legit to me, but we'll see how it turns out. It's been fairly right so far, and then from that, Rage 2 just had a field day with just, kind of putting images out every so often of, new details for the game and everything, and just kind of teasing it and then it finally came revealed with that 1-minute teaser trailer, which was very weird, and I don't know, it didn't really grab my attention, to be honest with you. But if you're into that kind of, Borderlands style shooter kind of thing, which is what Rage is tending to be, this Rage 2 game, so we'll definitely see more on that at E3. And the kind of weird art style of it a lot more as well. But we'll probably get a release date for that as well. Some people are thinking, because 2019 is the kind of the placeholder date they've got for it, so some people are thinking maybe, summertime of 2019, but Bethesda tend to like to keep things within the same year, so I wouldn't be too surprised with it coming out at the end of this year, but I've got a feeling that they could push it early into next year, so I think, beginning of 2019, so Q1 or Q2, so I definitely think it'll be out by June, in my opinion. I think maybe, March, April time is a good release date for that game, kind of get it out of the way of the Christmas period, the holiday period, where we get a lot of people buying a lot of games, and I think Rage 2 will kind of get buried under a lot of that stuff, especially if we've got stuff like Red Dead Redemption and that coming out at that time and everything. I don't think people will be looking to Rage 2, whereas if it's got a bit of breathing space, I think it would do a lot better, and people will definitely give it a bit of a look into. But yeah, I'm going to guess Q1 or Q2. I don't think it'll be any later than E3 next year, because Bethesda do like to tend to keep things within the year of what they showcase them. Like we saw that last year when Pete Hines showed everything and said everything that we've showed is out this year. The year before, we had the big Dishonored 2 showcase, and then it was out in November and everything, and then the year before that we had the whole Fallout 4 thing. So we've definitely just the way they tend to do things at Bethesda, so I don't see any later than that. Obvious as well, the Elder Scrolls Legends, switching developers I've heard as well from Direwolf over to somewhere else, so we'll definitely get more information on that if that is the case, and also get probably teasers for expansions. I think the Horns of Skyrim was the last one, if I'm too sure. I don't know, I haven't played any Test Legends actually since the beta, since I played the story in the beta. I just haven't returned to it. Card games aren't really for me, so we'll definitely get teasers on that, maybe some more story details and everything. I think they've got Dark Brotherhood Guild stuff in there, but anyway, we'll have to wait and see what's going on with the Elder Scrolls Legends and see what they tease. Elder Scrolls Online, I don't think we'll get too much info on the Elder Scrolls Online, to be honest with you. They're just releasing Somerset around about now, so I don't think we're really going to be getting a huge amount of information on ESO. Maybe tease for, some stuff for the future, maybe talk about, they're really happy with how Somerset has turned out and everything. I feel like we've known about Somerset forever now, a couple of months definitely. We've seen a lot of gameplay, a lot of information on it, so we'll definitely have to wait and see what they're going to tease. I really don't know what they can tease, to be honest with you. I don't think they'll tease a major expansion like the Morrowind or the Somerset ones. I think it'll be a new kind of dungeon area with like Horns of the Reach, I think is one that they had, and stuff like that. The Clockwork City I think was another one where it's basically, I think it was a trial or a big major dungeon, so we'll have to see what ESO do that. But I think if they do tease something, it'll be something like that that'll be out later on this year. And then also the last thing, it will be Quake Champions, that I think we can guarantee to be there. A game that really, if we're going to be honest, no one really cares about at this point. I suppose as hardcore Quake fans, but for the wider gaming market, it hasn't really captured the attention of many others, I don't think. So yeah, we'll get a little bit of information for Quake Champions, but it'll probably be just showing a little bit more gameplay, maybe show a character reveal, and then be like, we'll talk about more at QuakeCon and kind of pitch a bit of QuakeCon, you know, because that's kind of what Bethesda tend to do with Quake champions at these E3 and these press conferences and everything. So the last of the guarantees is Fallout 76, so just a quick roundup. We've got Rage 2, Elder Scrolls Legends, ESO, and Quake Champions. Them four were definitely guaranteed, and the last one is Fallout 76, which we know for sure because Todd Howard on the information that he gave to us on the end of that live stream, and he shared that this is what we've been making on. We'll talk more about it at our showcase, and we've heard countless times on Twitter and on videos and everything that we'll be hearing more about it there. And in Bethesda style, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Todd Howard is going to come out on stage and do the classic thing, you know, where he goes, basically takes us through the game for about 15 minutes. You know, he's really good at that. He's really good at giving presentations on his games of what we've kind of seen. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing him on stage and kind of taking us through the stuff of Fallout 76. I'd just like to hear Todd talk, to be honest with you. You know, that Fallout 4 reveal when he took us through Fallout 4 was probably my favourite E3 moment, to be honest with you, if you could call it a moment. It was like 30 minutes was on stage, but it was just great for a game we was also excited for him to just kind of take us through a lot of the nitty gritty and a lot of the new stuff and everything, and especially for a game like Fallout 76, which for concrete info we don't know about, but leaks I think we've got a fairly decent idea. It's going to be an online kind of co-op survival game in a way, but Bethesda style with quests and a story. So for him to take us through something that's going to be completely new to Bethesda Game Studios and completely new to the Fallout series is going to be really, really cool. And I think we'll probably get a release date for that as well, as you know, the way Bethesda do things. There's leaks of a 31st of July, Harry Potter's birthday, but there's a leak of that going around, but we'll see how that lines up, because you know, the Amazon placeholder date was the 31st of July, and then since then there's been, you know, fake blurry images and fake here and just a lot of nonsense of people trying to get internet credibility. But I can kind of see, if it is an early release date, then I think what I'm going to talk about at the end is more likely to come true. But yeah, like it kind of makes sense, you know, because the kind of the stance in the game that people are taking is a little bit mixed. Some people are getting really angry, hence, and some people are really keen to find out. I think it's more on the angry side right now, to be honest with you, and more the concern side because of what I made the video a couple of days ago. So just kind of hang on and wait, and you know, see how the game is, and then we'll maybe talk about it a little bit more then. But yeah, people are concerned, so definitely, I don't think having it in that holiday period, if you know, if it's still got that mixed reception of, you know, an online, a new step in the Fallout area, of, you know, an online game for it, it could possibly get buried by Red Dead, to be honest with you. But at the same time, it is a Fallout game, so it's going to sell well. So if you give it that kind of selling period of, you know, the end of, you know, July, beginning of August, which is, you know, not really a common time to be selling AAA games, it's going to sell really well then. I think that'd be a really cool, really good business move for Bethesda. And to be honest with you, I think it would be one that it'd be wise to take. It's just, you know, releasing a major game like Fallout 2 months after it's announced is just insane. But you know, Todd Howard has said numerous times that he'd like to have the gap between announcement and release date for his games to be as short as possible. So that'll definitely be really cool if they're able to even shorten that gap. It's a trend that's kind of been popularized by Bethesda after the E3 2015 conference. You know, games do tend to, you know, announce and then release. You know, Shadow of War was one where it was announced and then released like 6 months later. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was announced a couple of months ago, and they said it's going to be releasing this year. There's a lot of kind of major games that have kind of been doing that, you know, like Titanfall, the Battlefield games and stuff like that. Assassin's Creed Origins was another one. It's kind of been following that trend, really, that kind of really Bethesda kind of set in a way, because, you know, I think a lot of people have the misconception that you have to have a long marketing cycle to be able to sell well. And to be honest with you, for games like Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't think it's really shown that that's kind of the opposite, because I think interest for that game has kind of been lost more and more over the years, and they're kind of having to recapture it. Whereas if you announce a major game for the first time, the excitement's there, the pop's there, and then you'll be able to get it out while that pops and that excitement is kind of still brewing, you're going to sell more copies, in my opinion. Whereas if a game's kind of always on the mind, people tend to forget about it and it just drifts off into the ether. Loads of games I can bring up to, you know, to talk about that, even those ones that aren't out yet, you know, games like Dreams and stuff like that, those, you know, in development forever, and just people just didn't really care about, don't care about that game at all as well. I think even Final Fantasy 15, even though that game really sold well, it worked really hard to kind of, in that last month before release, to try and get that back. And that's kind of what you really got to do if you're taking that long in developing. You keep pushing that game back more and more and more, people do tend to lose interest. But anyway, more predictions about Fallout 76. I do agree with the online co-op survival, but in a Bethesda-style Jason Schreier leak that we've got, because, you know, he's very reputable, and I think we can kind of bank on what he says, because he tends to get numerous sources from, and he reveals a lot of stuff on a lot of different games, and he's really kind of well done at his information. Set in West Virginia or set in Northern Virginia, in the Virginia area of America, I think is a pretty safe bet as well. The song, you know, Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Take Me on Country Roads, To the Place Where I Belong, West Virginia. Great song in the trailer. And yeah, I think it's pretty safe to assume that, yeah, it's going to be in that area, especially when we've got the details that the Vault 76 is actually in Virginia as well. So I think that's probably the most sure bet we can say. Even a prediction, I don't know. I don't know if they can count it. But I'm going to go with the prediction as well that there's going to be a maximum of 5 players in a game, and if you have less than 5 players in your game, it's going to be filled up. I kind of like the idea that people sort from a lot of the board games around a maximum of 5 players and stuff, so I can kind of see it as kind of being a story for the group, really. So like if you want to play the game on your own, you're going to have 4 AI characters with you, and if there's 3 of you, then you're going to get another couple with you and stuff like that. I think that's kind of the way it's going to go, personally, mainly because I think it'd be easy to tell a story that way, and if it's a Bethesda-style game, I think it'd be easy to kind of make the quests for that many people and not having to keep changing them depending on how many people are in your group. You just make it a set figure. I think it'd be easy for them to do it, especially for a first online game. And I've got no issue with that if you've got a couple of AI people coming around with the characters. Whether it's going to have character creation in it is going to be seen. I don't think it will, to be honest with you. I think there's a very good chance it could be 5 set characters that we have to pick from, I think. And I think that could cause quite a lot of controversy if that is the case. But I think that could be it, to be honest with you. I think it could be 5 set characters that each have got their own story of why they've gone into the vault and everything, and we go off on that front because, you know, the way for them to interact with each other and everything. I don't see there being a character creator, which would be a huge step for Bethesda, but I think that would cause a lot of controversy as well. So let's get into the big predictions of announcements and stuff. I'm actually subscribed to the theory the closer we've got to E3 of a DLC for one of these 3 games. I don't think there's going to be DLC for all of them. I think it's going to be one of these 3. Prey, Evil Within 2, or Wolfenstein. And people might be thinking, well, you know, why can't there be one for all of them? The different development studios. But something I'm going to kind of less for Wolfenstein 2. I don't think there is going to be one for Wolfenstein 2. I think Wolfenstein 3 is in development as a last kind of shot at trying to make a real success of that series, because, you know, Wolfenstein 2 eventually did sell well, but it didn't have a good start. Evil Within 2 didn't sell well, but I think it's got that kind of hardcore fan base that would buy a DLC for it. So I'm actually going to place a bet on Evil Within 2 of having a DLC. I think Prey, it's been out too long now for it to be relevant, and I think Arcane have kind of moved on to the next game. But Evil Within 2, I think Tango Works could have made a DLC for it. And I think it will kind of sell amongst that Evil Within community, because while it doesn't branch out that well for, you know, all of us lot, you know, the people that are the kind of the mains, I think the main Bethesda fans, you know, the Bethesda Game Studios fans, I don't think we kind of tend to clutch onto that. But for horror fans and, you know, the fans of the Evil Within series, I think they will buy a DLC. And there's possibly a new VR tie-in. Some people are saying Dishonored, but I don't really think that's going to be the case. I think what we will get, though, is maybe an announcement of Fallout VR and PlayStation VR. And if that doesn't come at the Bethesda conference, I think that will come at the PlayStation conference for PlayStation VR, even in the conference or in the pre-show for that. But I think if we are going to see anything VR related, I think it will be Fallout 4 VR on PlayStation VR, because it's on the Vive and on Oculus, and they've got Skyrim on PlayStation VR, so I don't see why they can put Fallout VR on there. I think it kind of makes sense. So, you know, put that over there. I think it, you know, it's probably sell on PlayStation VR as well. I think PlayStation VR's got the most units, I think, sold of all of the VRs by quite a margin. So, definitely, probably a risk that they'll be able to take on that. I don't think we'll see Doom 2. That's another rumour going around the mill. I think it's too short after Doom 2016 came out, and I just think that there's no need to rush on that game. You know, they don't need to get that game out this year. They can take another year, maybe even another 2 years, to be honest with you, to be able to make that game as good as it can be, because, you know, the last Doom was superb, and I think that it's, you know, they're also working on the stuff for Rage, and they're also working on the stuff for the Quake Champion, so I don't think a Doom 2 is likely at this moment in time. It is a huge studio, by the way, but I just don't see them making a new Doom game within 2 years. And the last massive prediction I want to make, because I'm insane, and I've just got this feeling. I didn't have this feeling when Fallout 76 was first announced, but after, you know, seeing, I think the one that's tipped me over is that artist designer, that Visions or whatever, Visions1 on Instagram, when he replied to a comment when someone said, I was hoping for a new IP like Starfield or something, and he replied to it and said, wait and see, or tune into the showcase or whatever that's on your screen right now. And ever since that, I've just kind of, and then the information about the July 31st possible release date for Fallout 76, I've just got this feeling that Starfield is going to be E3, that Bethesda are going to be insane enough to have a AAA Bethesda game there. And also as well, it kind of makes sense with expanding another studio. You know, we have 3 studios at BGS now. We've got We've got the mainland Rockville, Maryland studio that is the one that's been the main building for so many years. And we had the Montreal studio that Todd has come out in a Ted Price interview and said they mainly work on the remasters and the phone games and everything. And now we've got the Austin studio that just got announced like a month ago or so. And while with that being announced, we hadn't heard anything about Battlecry for years. So in my suspicions, I think that after 2015, when Pete Hines said he wants to take the game away and kind of talk about it and reevaluate it, I think it was cancelled shortly after that. We haven't heard anything about it from from 2015. So I think when Fallout 4 came out, they had an idea, with people that are specialising in multiplayer. They made Bethesda had an idea for a multiplayer mode for Fallout 4 that ended up getting scrapped. And I think they maybe went with that idea, told the Austin team, and they got working on that straight away. So I think that it's not really been as much the Maryland team. They've used all the assets from the Maryland team, but it's mainly been the Austin team that's been working on that for quite some time, and then just held out on announcing that Battlecry Studios became Bethesda Game Studios Austin. So I think the Maryland studio's been working on something big and something different than they've done before, like Fallout 76 is, and I just think it's Starfield. I do. There's just too much trademark information. There's the guy answering to the comment. I might be crazy, and I'm the guy who said last year that I'm 99.9% sure that Starfield's going to be the last one. So maybe I could be crazy, but I just feel like it's going to be this year. And I think that if it kind of sets up the press conference well, because if Todd Howard comes out talking about Fallout 76 that we're all expecting, and said, "Oh, we've also got one more thing," and then shows off a new game there, people are going to be excited for it, even if it's not the Elder Scrolls 6. Whereas if we had no Fallout game or no Elder Scrolls game, Todd Howard coming out on stage and announcing something that wasn't Fallout or Elder Scrolls is going to get a lot of a lot of crap thrown at him, and Bethesda are going to get a lot of crap at them for not making the Elder Scrolls 6. Whereas we know that us Bethesda fans know that there's two major games coming out before the new Elder Scrolls game. One of them, it seems to be Fallout 76, and then he comes out on stage, talks about Fallout 76 for 10-15 minutes, and said, "We've got another thing that's out this year, we've got Starfield, major game, blah blah blah, been working on it a long time," shows it off, November release date, crowd goes insane, we all go home happy, then I make a YouTube video about how excited I am and go crazy for 5 minutes or so. That's what I honestly think is going to happen. I hope it is going to happen. Maybe it's just more of a hopeful prediction than it is a guess, but I'm going to make that prediction out there. I think that's going to be the big thing that steals the show. Pete Hines has said this showcase is bigger than before. It says it's the longest that they've made as well, and they need that something else, they need that something else there to make it the longest one before, because we've got the Fallout game from 2015, we don't have the Dishonored, we don't have the Doom. Rage 2, is that going to take as much time as what Doom did? I don't think so. We don't have the Battlecry time. There needs to be another huge thing then, and to make that so, and I think that is going to be a AAA Bethesda game called Starfield. I just honestly do think that's going to be the case. So let me know what you think about what's going to happen at Bethesda E3 predictions. Is there anything that I missed out? Let me know. There's some talk about maybe another third-party Bethesda game going on over there. I don't know what it's really going to be, because I know Avalanche and id are working together for the Rage 2 game. Mainly, it seems it's going to be mainly Avalanche working on that. Avalanche Studios, the guys who made Just Cause 3 and also made the Mad Max game, so they're definitely working a lot on that. And could there be another third-party thing in production? I'm not too sure. I think that's maybe why I'm not overly excited about Rage 2, because of the third-party thing. The last third-party game I think Bethesda made or published was Brink, I think, and that was terrible. And since like 2011, we haven't really had one. We've had and in that time we've had Skyrim, Dishonored 2. We've had Wolfenstein, The Evil Within, Fallout 4, Prey. All these really cool games and really good games that have reviewed well and done really, really well are all been from first-party studios, and Doom as well in there. And then we've got, going back to the third-party thing to try and publish more games. It's a risky move, and I hope it does work out, because I think Bethesda do publish the best games of the major publishers, but it is just that it's a major risk, and I don't want it to become a huge trend just in risk of getting back to those Brink days that we had before. So we'll definitely have to wait and see what's going to be there. But let me know if you think I've forgotten something or missed out something. I've not gone into enough detail in the early predictions. Just let me know what you think. But I'm happy to share my thoughts with you in the comments below. I'll talk a lot more detail with you in there as well and everything. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you after the E3 showcase on Saturday the 9th or Sunday the morning. The Sunday the 10th if you're in England or anywhere else in the world other than America. Thanks a lot for watching. Follow me on Twitter, DeGorC, and I'll see you guys later.